enjoyed the article and I enjoyed the video so much is that they're taking the art from the Hirshhorn out to the people and then getting the input from the people about how to take the art out to the people. And that will encourage more artists, and it will encourage more people loving art and having a broader conceptualization of what art is. So what I guess I'd suggest is that first of all we have a certain mindset about this. I think Carol Dweck's work on mindset is perfect. You've got to have a growth mindset and not a fixed mindset. So what came to me is that there's a lot of way of looking at that concept called art. And when I go to the Hirshhorn, I love the sculpture garden outside, and I've always enjoyed walking through that. And some of the pieces are sort of incredible to me, and I guess I'd have to call them art because somebody does. When I walk in the Hirshhorn, some of the art gets a little too modern for me. That happens at the Guggenheim in New York City too, that sometimes it's okay, fine. But then I remind myself that what is not like the best piece of art to one person is really wonderful art for another. And the fact that we allow all of that to be called art, I think, is important. Our concept of instruction needs to be evidence-based, but it needs not to be, boundaries need to be not put around it based on what we know as individuals at a particular moment. How do you apply what we know about good instruction in a virtual world? How do we do that is the question. Now, the one thing that I think is clear about this, though, and being in business like I am, I can tell you that we can have all the ideas we want, but if the idea does not generate some pretty quick revenue and some pretty good profit, then that's an idea we won't implement for very long. I like that model. Now, the profit that we're trying to generate in schools is kids learning. And so we can't just go off and make the mistake that we've made in the past in schools where if the teacher likes it and the student likes it, it doesn't seem to matter whether or not the student's learning. The issue has to be that there is profit from this, and that profit is learning. So the evaluation has to be in place. So it's an interesting paradox, I think. I think the answer to every tough question is probably embracing a paradox. So it's getting all invested in this inventive way of doing work with kids while you are holding the system accountable to the kids' learning based on these new inventive ways of doing it. I kind of think that it's a good idea to think about using expertise technologically, and that RTI demands that we bring together expertise. In the initial work on problem solving that was done by Chalfant and Peisch at the University of Illinois, they called it a teacher assistance team. 3 elected teachers from a school get together, do informal problem solving. They're 3 members of a team. When the referring teacher comes in, that's the 4th member of the team, and the referring teacher is in control of the team. And when you do all of that, you solve problems. The problem that came up, of course, is that the teacher's expertise, even jointly, got to a limit. So that's when a lot of people began to create resources that had a bunch of ideas in it, tactics, strategies that might work. And that sort of helped to generate all of this RTI work that we're doing, even in terms of interventions, because it became clear that some of the kids needed something more than those 4 teachers could do in a general ed classroom. How do you make that work? That all works just fine. How do you bring the expertise in is the question. You can argue that each state could have a team of 30 people that would be all around the state that would have certain levels of expertise that are well respected across the state. When a very difficult case comes in front of a problem-solving team at a school, then that group of people would come into play in using some technology that would bring everyone together visually as well as in an auditory way. Well, you could just do it by phone call, I suppose. You could have a discussion about that and get the expertise quickly and then move on. There's no reason why we can't use that. I would like to suggest that we might want to, as educators, go into some fields where I've got a feeling this might be happening more often, like medicine, and find out what they're doing. Because I know for a fact that in medicine this is happening, where there are people who are available to be able to help resolve an issue, who have good expertise within a particular arena. I know that there are companies that do this, not just one, but our company has a group of people who sit in Dallas. And if teachers are having trouble implementing an intervention, they can call and get help. You know, that sort of stuff we don't do that enough. You know, we have to break out of a fixed mindset that when a teacher's in a classroom, then that's the domain of that one teacher and no one else can be in there. Further than that, we have to break the fixed mindset that within a school, all you can share is success and not failure. The schools that are doing RTI the best are schools full of passionate scientists. And what they're very willing to do is to share failures as well as successes, because a failure is a learning opportunity, and why not? You know, I have an uncle who was a cancer researcher who told me one time a failure was fine in a cancer experiment because that meant that there was one less thing to try. So we have to kind of get into that sort of a mindset about things and then be willing to accept information from everywhere. I'm reminded of Michael Fullen's comment about the best teacher. He said the best teacher is a person who has one foot in the microcosm of the classroom and the other foot firmly planted in the macrocosm of the rest of the universe, because that's where all the good ideas are. So that brings me to this last thought about RTI, it seems to me, that through rtinetwork.org and other wonderful sites that are building it right now, it's got to be true that teachers have immediate access to all ideas that are possible right around that teacher. You know, I would view that as an essential thing. And are there ideas like that around the country for problem solving and for family school partnership and for positive school climate and for assessment and instruction and leadership? Of course there are. There are people around the country who could gather themselves and would be very happy to do that, to be able to help out. So I think that's something that we need to do from a systems perspective better than we are.